one most symbolic human rights cases, General Augusto Pinochet's bloody dictatorship is slowly approaching its conclusion, with the extradition from United States a former soldier accused kidnapping an folk singer, Víctor Jara. Late on Friday afternoon, a plane from Miami landed in Santiago with Pedro Barrientos on board. The former lieutenant was transported to a helicopter accompanied by a Chilean police escort and flown across the capital to be processed at police barracks. "We want to quickly draw a line under this case," said Nelson Caucoto, a human rights attorney who has represented the Jara family since 1998. "Would anyone have thought that justice would be served for Víctor Jara?" he asked. "Of course not. Just 10 years ago no one would have thought this would be possible. So in this sense, justice is being served." But activists warned that the quest for justice must continue unabated, as many of those accused of dictatorship-era atrocities continue to evade punishment. According to Caucoto's legal practice, 14 people convicted by Chile's Supreme Court for human rights violations, including extrajudicial killings and kidnappings, remain at large. These include 2 people convicted of Jara's kidnapping and Jara, 40, a singer, theater director and university professor who was sympathetic to the socialist government of Salvador Allende, which overthrown in the 1973 coup that brought Pinochet to power. Overall, Chile has a huge debt to pay in terms of justice for the enforced disappearances, executions and torture committed under the Pinochet regime, said Rodrigo Bustos, Amnesty International's Director General in Chile. Chilean folk singer Víctor Jara was dead in the opening days of General Augusto Pinochet's dictatorship. Fundacion Victor Jara, Antonio Lap. To date, only 1/3 3,216 cases in forced disappearances and executions committed during dictatorship have resulted in convictions. According to data compiled by Transitional Justice Observatory University Diego Portales, only 0.6% of the survivors of the dictatorship period ended in conviction. Justice that comes so late is also a denial of justice, Bustos said. But if we are to build a country where these crimes are not repeated, it is vital that these cases do not go unpunished. Jara's widow, British dancer and activist Joan Jara, earlier this month, aged 96, after campaigning for justice for nearly 5 decades. The first case he filed in 1978 was closed within a year. Shortly after Pinochet's arrest in London in 1998, Joan arrived unannounced at Caucoto's Santiago office, asking him to bring justice for her late husband. Caucoto recalls feeling a tremendous responsibility in agreeing to take on the case, at a time when new evidence was difficult to find and witnesses were still muzzled. However, thanks to Joan's perseverance, testimonies from veterans, soldiers and prisoners were gradually collected and the case was eventually allowed to be reopened. Víctor